This is Paddy McGurn, good friend of mine for many years. My name is Giles Knight, and I work for Ulster Wildlife, as you can see. And you are all extremely welcome to this afternoon here on Patrick's farm today. Really great to see Leitrim and Fermanagh farmers working together. We share a lot of things, and it's a fantastic part of the world.
Right, thank you, Giles. You're very welcome to Portnode Farm. Do you know, this is a farm with my father here, and it's a farm that has to make money. It doesn't make a lot of money, but my main interest is environment. So today all we're trying to do is take you for a walk. We enjoy the farm. That's what we do, enjoy the farm. Where I have walks through. I can go, leave my house and go for a kilometre, 2 kilometre walk, and I keep those paths open just to walk the farm because I'm lucky to have a farm like this to live on. This is our improved grassland, which is very prone to rush. Soft rush, which is, I'll show you the different rushes, which is this taller one. You're from Leitrim, you don't need to be told about soft rush, you know. Right? It's the hardest thing that I have. It's my biggest thing in control. And if you have to, cattle will do anything but eat it, right? And if you're part-time and you spend half your time graping out rushes that cattle don't eat, that takes up an awful lot of time and you get to hate it, and your environmental principles go out the window altogether. So we'll take a walk down. These hedges were coppiced all down about 12 years ago. They were just cut the stump as a coppice measure, hedge regeneration. My father would just love to pull them out, just cannot stand them, you know. I just think it's the loveliest walk.
Right, I'm Trish Bennett and I'm originally from Kilty, County Leitrim, across the mountain over some direction like that. Yeah. And now I live down at Trory, which is just down the road from here, beside St Angela's Airport. And I was up here yesterday with Patrick, and I was looking around and I saw the wee island out there, and I started thinking about Innisfree. I don't know if any of you are into Yeats's poem, The Lake Isle of Innisfree, yeah? Yeah. Well, this is my response poem to that, because we moved to Fermanagh about 12 years ago, and we always had this dream of the 9 bean rows, the hive of the honeybees, all that. And then we got it and we realised what a dreamer Yeats really was. So this poem is my response to that. Small cabins are not ideal. A king-size bed, an island kitchen that never fit in. Clay and wattle's all well and good, but you're better with the block. Insulate like the Swedes, for the autumn wind whips across that lake, skins ash and beech to cover paths and fill the gutters. Brings with it Canadian geese who come to keep you up all night with their honk-bonk orgy by the shore.
You all know the decline of the curlew in Ireland, and now there's only meant to be, 250 pairs across the whole of Ireland. And there's been task force on to try to bring back the curlew. And in the south, they're putting an awful lot of work. If we were standing even here last year, definitely the year before, I could guarantee you that you'd have heard the curlew. We're standing here, where I heard it yesterday morning, so I was hoping we'd hear it because there's some nesting over there. But there used to be one nesting in this field, and there used to be one nesting in this just over here as well, and they've gone now. This one was successful. Just to let you know, the lock was dropped in, I know, I'm not saying it's you because you're older than me. The lock was dropped, I think, in the late 40s, early 50s. And this was the loch shore. Do you know where the trees are now was the loch shore? And then when it dropped, so it dropped substantially. So this shore was never really grazed. We didn't do too much of it. And it's what would be in Fermanagh if we didn't have agriculture, if we didn't farm. This is the natural vegetation. You get the alder comes in, first of all, because it likes wet. It also puts nitrogen into the soil. Then you get ash coming in, so you'll start to see there's an ash tree. there coming in, you know. Unfortunately the ash is starting to die, like that one there has as well. Some of them are living, some of them are dead. And as we walk through, suddenly you start seeing an oak tree in it. And then there's an apple tree that I came across, alder tree, Gelder rose tree. So as part of an environmental scheme, we are allowed to graze this one, but with the other one fenced off. That's the same as your acres, you know. Sometimes the department make you fence it off, but in this case they didn't. So we just turn the cattle out here, and they might go into it and they might not. Ungrazing is definitely better, because the woodland that has been fenced off has been fenced off now for 30 years, and you'll see when we walk through it, it's much better woodland than this strip, you know. So I'd probably be in favour of fencing woodlands off overall, you know. So we'll just take a walk. We'll be coming back through this field till I show you this field, and then we'll walk through the meadow and back up then. So if you follow me now, just with it. These two fields are the most interesting, but they probably take more of my time in maintaining than the silage fields, because the contractor cuts them for me. The only thing I do is spread fertiliser on them. That's the only work I do on them. There's marsh fertility in this land, so therefore I don't like to top it, because the caterpillars are in it. That means that I can't nip off these weeds, so I have to come in with a strimmer. So if you want to keep the wildflowers, you have to make sure that no fertility goes on or increases. They're called stress-tolerant plants because they grow under stress. And if you take away that stress, putting fertiliser on or slurry, they're no longer under stress, so the grass takes over. It favours them. But if we want to keep them, that's why we have agri-environment schemes, because we can't rely on farmers' altruism just to keep them for the sake of keeping them, do you know? When it makes an economic return for me to put just a wee shaking of fertiliser this to get more grass, but then my marsh fertility goes. And if the marsh, that's fine, might mean much to me, but if as a society we want to keep these rare butterflies and birds. So we'll take a walk in the woodland now, just through the woodland, and we'll see. This is the wet woodland. All the water from the farm comes down that drain. So this is the wettest, so this is the alder, and you can see them. But you'll also see they're all starting to die off because they've done what they've had to do, and it's come to more woodland, just, you know. We get flagons in there, and also you get nettles because there's more in the water, there's more nutrient enrichment coming into this, you know. So none of this is planted, this is all totally natural. So if you take ash or oak or anything like that, have a massive amount of moths for it. Sycamore was introduced by the Normans or something like that, you know, so it's been here a long time, but it doesn't have a strong associated insect life. Or actually the willow has a massive associated willow or insected moths and insects, so that's the reason, and it can take over altogether. All the ryegrass is gone, and ryegrass is the shiny one that you'll see coming through. It's the one you plant. You'll see an awful lot of the sprit or the jointed rush is coming back in on it, but it still has a wee bit too much soft rush for my liking, which is that taller one. It has some nice species coming into it, like ragged robin. There's some vetches coming in. It's got cuckoo flower, which is also the one for the orange tip butterfly. It's got the meadow thistle, which is not the crow's foot one, which is the creeping one. And it's also got a lot of spearwort. As we go through, it's got an awful lot of forget-me-nots. And then this grass here is sweet vernal, which if you smell is when you cut hay, that's what gives you the smell, like the Latin of it's odoratum, which means there's an odour of it. So this is coming quite well. For birds, it's quite good for what do you call it, meadow pipits. You know, it's quite good for those. So this is what, on the acre scheme, if you're in it, this would be a 10. And if it's not a 10, you should be changing your planner. That's would be my view, because it is really good. So the other thing I'd like to just finish on, this is, agriculturally, this is low producing. But if you agree that agriculture has more services than food, this is a really productive field. It is good for water quality, not great for carbon sequestration because it doesn't grow enough, you know. Really good for biodiversity, you know, the hedges and everything around it. So it's producing an awful lot, but there's no monetary value in what it's producing in terms of agriculture produce. But that's where we have to change our agriculture system. The places like Leitrim and Fermanagh that still have these habitats, you know, that you're paid to maintain them, and that I shouldn't, as a farmer, do it just because I like this. Like, it makes no sense for me to keep this, you know. I may as well put a bit of fertiliser on it and get an early bite from it. If you're in the Aran Islands, you don't need to be leaving strips on the roadway because you have so much habitat anywhere. But now we've come to a stage that we're so low in habitat that we have to look at roadways, and management of roadways is really good because flowers grow up, there's no fertiliser put on, and then they're cut late, so they time to seed, so it is actually good for wildlife, it is. But as a society, when we're down to that and relying on people to do wee bits of corner of gardens, as good as it is, as farmers we've failed to get the message across that we can deliver good habitat, and that's my view on it, like, you know.
Okay, I'm just going to give you a little demonstration and you all get to make your own tile. What I have here is a bowl of clay. It's just been dug, it's unprocessed, it's raw wild clay. So if you open it up, you can see it's got bits of roots in it, there's sand, there's earth, there's everything. It's just unprocessed clay, right? It is. So what you're going to do is you're going to, with the little vegetation you picked, you're going to create an imprint. Now, this is exact from the same batch of clay, and this is the way the clay, once it's fired, it turns this beautiful, like orangey red terracotta colour. And all I did was get some bluebells and roll them in. Really, really simple. You can't overthink this. You can't go wrong with it. Okay, hello everybody. Hope you enjoyed that little exercise and actually working with the clay we have here in the farm. And I think maybe by doing that you can sort of, you know, when you lift the clay and you can smell it and you can see it and you know where it comes from, it means something so much different, you know, because you're connecting to the very land you're standing on. And I think for me, in what I do, working with ceramics, and I use different types of clay all the time, but the local wild harvested clay is just incredible, because clay is it's something that connects us all. It's very grounding, and when you're working with it, you're kind of thinking more in terms of the bigger picture, the land, you know, the farm, you know, our habitat here, the environment, and what you're actually doing with that, and how you're utilising something so basic. And I think it's something, you know, I've learnt living and growing up on this farm is sort of, you know, making something out of nothing, you know, being inventive, looking at things in a different way. And even most of you from a farming background probably understand that, you know, because it's, you know, the strings that tie our gates, those kind of things, you know, it's all sort of linked in to what we do and how we think creatively about solving problems. And there's no different whenever you're making art to when you're solving any other problem.
I like the fact that we're both artists, environmentalists, farmers together. So I'd like to see that people see the importance of these areas, see what's in them, that agriculture is more than just food production, that there's biodiversity associated with it, and just the importance of it as a society, of why we need to keep these species-rich grasslands and habitat types.